So the DPP government is trying to introduce free education. I think we've seen this movie before. What I want you to understand is if there's a government that has actually been very poor in the education sector, that's DPP government. Every policy that they have introduced, I feel, has actually lowered the education standards in Malawi. They have not improved them at all. They're the same government which started by first of all introducing the quota system, which was a very bad system, to be honest. Okay, for those of us who come from the north, we actually understand exactly how detrimental this system was, especially to the quality of education for northerners and also from people from other regions as well. And so we saw that happening. Number two, they're the same government that was trying to remove JCE examinations. That failed miserably. And so they actually tracked back on it. Okay, so you saw that these people are actually making policies. I don't really know what they're thinking. Okay, most of the times I have a feeling that they just do things without really consulting the grassroots. They're just doing things without doing proper surveys. They just sit on their big chairs and make up policies. That's what I think. But at the same time, right now they're trying to introduce free education in Malawi. And I think today I would like us to really look at it. But I think this is not going to be a very good idea. And so I will tell you why in today's video. And I hope this will be educative. Otherwise, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let us discuss this together. Now, first of all, I want you to understand that free education is not a foreign idea to Africa. So many countries have actually introduced this. We're talking about Kenya, Ghana, and now Malawi is trying to introduce the same. This thing, we saw it in Sierra Leone and so many other places. This thing is not new. But at the end of the day, what are some of the pros and cons of free education? So free education is the abolishing of school fees or payments that can be made to institutions like secondary schools and primary schools for the access of education of a young one, a learner. Okay, so they are trying to remove school fees, in other words, just trying to make sure that primary school education and secondary school education is accessible to all, regardless of their socioeconomic background. And so that is their goal and aim. It's a noble aim. It's a noble purpose and vision. It's actually very good. But at the end of the day, increasing access to education is not always a good thing, especially if you do not couple it with subsequent increase in funding, at the same time infrastructural development, and putting in place a structure that can actually uphold the growing numbers of enrollments that will actually come. At the end of the day, what we're going to see is that there's going to be an influx of learners into primary schools and secondary schools. But I guarantee you, the government of Malawi will not increase the quality of the environments within which these learners will find themselves in. I can tell you this for free. I want you to understand that. This is not a government to do it because they've never done it. At the end of the day, what is going to happen is the same number of teachers are going to be employed, and the same ones, they're going to be expected to teach these growing numbers of learners. Number two, there will not be enough resources to go around. And the structures that will be available will not be enough to accommodate these growing numbers of learners in these institutions. And so you will see that there will be an overburdening that will happen for each and every school that will actually take part in this free education exercise. It will actually happen. Okay? And you will see it taking place. I can guarantee that because we have case studies. Other countries have gone through it, and these are the challenges they're actually facing. You talk about Kenya. Almost immediately when these policies were implemented, almost immediately, the number of students in primary schools and secondary schools increased by a very big percentage. Okay? It was almost immediate. Ghana, the same thing. Sierra Leone, the same thing. But you know what happened next? The governments could not sustain the influx of learners. They couldn't provide proper structures that could be put in place to make sure that these learners, they had access to not just free education, but quality education. But you cannot run away from structure. You can't run away from infrastructure. You can't run away from resources. You can't run away from funding, adequate funding. I know that sometimes when political personnel actually promise that we're going to deliver free education, in their minds, they're like, we just have to make sure that we fulfill our manifesto promises. But at the end of the day, we have to be practical in our thinking. It's insane to just sit down and come up with policies when we just try to do something just because you promised. Look at the practicalities of the matter and try to see, is this really going to be feasible? Is this something that Malawi can handle? It's nice to copy policy. We were looking at another country. That's why we have introduced it in Malawi. Let's not be crazy here. Malawi is not like Kenya. Malawi is not like Ghana. We are not like them. We are poor. We don't have much. We're struggling with Forex as it is. We have no exports. So you have to look at all these things and say, okay, what are we going to do? And so this brings me to another point. And because we don't have exports, do you know who is going to be funding this stuff? If you remove school fees from the hands of the parents to say you are going to be responsible for paying school fees, if you remove that responsibility, you know who is going to be paying for it? Taxpayers. This is why they've been increasing taxes left, right, and center, because they want to find more money to make sure that these things, the funding for these schools is actually available. But you know what is going to happen again? My third point. What they're trying to do is to centralize everything. They want education to be running from one hub, the Ministry of Education. That means they're going to be controlling the funding for these schools. And when that happens, that means programs in schools are not going to be happening at the immediate time when there's a need for the funding that to be made available. What is going to happen is there's going to be a delay. So the funding will be delayed. And because of that, schools will not be able to implement their own programs at the times when they want to implement them. And so there will be a delay, a disconnect. And you will see that so many things, the problem is when things become centralized, what happens is development doesn't happen the way it's supposed to happen. What you want is for things to become privatized. What you want is for individual institutions to be the ones to be empowered to say, can you make decisions regarding your day-to-day needs? You are the ones to handle your own budgets. Can you do that for yourselves? You understand what I'm saying? If that is taken away, what is going to happen is that there's going to be a delay in implementation of so many things that are happening at these institutions. The final thing that I want to put across to you is that the quality of education in national boarding schools is going to go down, but in private schools, it's going to go up. Private schools are going to make more money. And because of that, what you will see is that most parents who can actually afford it, they will remove their kids from public schools. Those boarding schools, those government schools, most well-to-do parents who can afford it, they'll remove their kids from there because they know now the population is too much, the quality of education will go down. And because of that, I want my child to learn in an environment where I know they are safe, number one. Number two, they have access to quality education. So they're going to send them to private schools. If it's not private schools, they're going to start homeschooling programs. I'm telling you, this is going to happen. That's where we're headed. Okay? Whenever you see people fighting for equality or equity, just know we're dealing with communist policies. And these things don't work well. In this world, we'll never have everyone experiencing the same outcomes. We can't be trying to control outcomes for people. In as much as we provide the same opportunities, but we can't be trying to control outcomes. Life deals with us in different ways. We don't control where we were born. But at the same time, sometimes we also, all of us take responsibility for our own lives to make sure we make something out of our own lives. I know not everyone starts at the same place. I get that. Do I want people to have access to primary school education? For sure. Do I want people to have access to secondary school education? For sure. But what I want is also for us to have quality education in Malawi. What's the point of introducing something without thinking it through? What's the point of introducing something that we can't sustain? What's the point of destroying what is already working just to make sure we keep a manifesto promise? What is that? Instead of introducing scholarships at secondary school level, we're removing fees. We're removing the power of these institutions to actually make sure that they cater for their own programs at their own small sphere of influence. Why are we doing this? At the end of the day, we're going to see the cascading effect of this, and it's not going to be good. I'm telling you. I don't know how you think about this. Do you think it's a good thing? Because access is not everything. Taxes are increasing. That means you, the taxpayer, you're going to be paying for these things. And that's why they're going to be increasing taxes time and time again. We don't have import. What else do you expect? Okay. What else do you expect? That's what is going to happen. Now I want to read this thing for you to just see exactly what I'm talking about. Key lessons from African experience. That means key lessons from other countries that have applied this before. Okay. Removing tuition dramatically increases access, especially for girls and poor children. So that's the only advantage I'm saying. But these are the disadvantages. Hidden costs can still block access unless they are also addressed. So there will be some hidden costs. That means uniform, glossaries, all of that. That means boarding fees, all of that. Students will still have to pay for them. So they're still available. And then number 2 is funding needs to increase significantly for quality to improve, not just enrollment. Because the point is not just to increase enrollment. There should be an increase in quality. But if we don't increase infrastructure and structure, what will happen is the quality will subsequently just go down. I'm telling you, it will be down a cliff. The final part is taxpayers, individuals and businesses bear the long-term cost of free education through public finance. Exactly as I suspected. I'm telling you this. Okay. Now, the next thing I want you to see is this. Who pays for free education? It is ultimately funded by the public through taxes and government budgets. When a government abolishes school fees, the money that would have been paid by parents is normally taken up in some other way. Number 1, higher public spending on education, financed by tax revenue, income tax, VAT, and so many other types of taxes. And then the other one is government borrowing to cover gaps, meaning future taxpayers service the debt. So it means government will start borrowing, IMF and all of that. And then when they do that, taxpayers have to pay for that. Okay. The final one is reallocation from other budget areas, which can squeeze health, infrastructure, and other services. That means they have to take money from other sectors to make sure that the education sector is funded for. So you have to understand that free education is essentially paid for by taxpayers, whether directly or indirectly. Okay, that's what is going to happen. So some people are just unknowingly, maybe they're just ignorantly saying things like, this is a good thing, this is nice, this is awesome, we're doing a good thing. You don't just do this. You don't know. What is going to happen is not going to be positive in the long run. And we're already saying that there are so many graduates already right now, but there's not much industry in Malawi to cater for them. So what if we increase enrollment? What will happen? Malawi cannot cater for the educated population that is already available. It's exciting to increase enrollment, but we're not thinking these things through. That's what I'm saying. That's what I want to tell you, man. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Until next time, have a good one.